So we're here to speak about the fact that you don't need ideas. What you need is customers. I'd say you do need an idea because you need to find your customers, and that's the key point, that you really need to find your customers. But for that, first, we have to voice our ideas to others. What's the problem? It's happened to me. I think it's happened to everyone. You have a great idea and you think, I'm not going to tell anyone because someone is going to come and they're going to copy my idea. So we keep them in the safe because we don't want anyone to touch it. And then after who knows how much time, someone else comes up with that idea and they do execute it. I'd say you have to voice your ideas. Humanity would probably have been in a different point now if everyone would have actually voiced their ideas. So I think it's really important to tell them, but you have to be wise. I hear a lot of times, you have to tell your ideas to people, you have to explain them, because if not, you won't get feedback, you won't... Okay, be intelligent. Don't go and tell your ideas to people who will probably have the opportunity to copy them. So I'd say use your common sense, like in everything in life. And there's something you can use that people usually don't think about, which is NDAs. I've heard a lot of people who don't even know what an NDA is. It's a non-disclosure agreement. You find them for free on the internet. There's loads of them, and you can make use of them. I'd say, okay, don't make your mother sign an NDA. But if there's people you want to talk about, to tell your idea, and you don't really trust those people, use them. One thing I'd say, don't expect investors to sign an NDA. And investors see so many projects throughout the weeks. They're probably not going to be willing to sign an NDA to get stuck to your idea. So I recommend to really use them, make use of them. When you want to explain your idea to people, I'd say make a really good value proposition to the person you're gonna be willing to receive the feedback from. So many times we have a great idea and then we think we're explaining it correctly to people. And in the end, they have a totally different idea than what we are really saying. So, for example, if I come up to you guys and I say, I'm going to produce this round thing which is really good and you're going to love it and you're going to eat it every day. And maybe he's thinking, oh, she's bringing apples. I love them. And he's going to give me a really good feedback. And someone else is going to think of cherries. And they're going to say, I don't like that at all. So maybe you're thinking that the people are really understanding what your idea is and what your project is going to be. So I'd recommend, because many times it's not like that, I recommend to make a really good value proposition. There's value proposition canvas on the internet everywhere too. Google is your friend every time, everywhere, for everything. So I'd say use them and make a really good briefing for people to really give you a really good feedback. Give them good insights, visual images of what you're really picturing the project will be, or if you have a prototype. Really explain really well the features and everything. I found I've been in the situation in which I thought I was receiving the feedback on my product, actually a product you know too, Kitchen Gadget, and actually after 2 weeks of receiving feedback of a person who was also in that same segment and I was getting help from, I realized that person was not understanding at all the product I was talking about. So it's really important to really show the people, your future prospective customers, that what your product is really gonna be. Now, people really, I know you cannot really see the text very well. It's from Amazon. People are willing to talk. So when you try to get feedback from people, most of the times people will just tell you like, oh yeah, it's good, or just give you a sentence. People are willing to talk. If there's people who write essays, this is an essay, someone dedicated the time to write an essay on a potato slicer. So if someone actually did that, you just have to find the right channel. Sometimes, as Ignacy said before, people are shy and people don't want to waste their time in some way. So they will just give you a sentence, or they will just say, yes, that's good, I like it, or whatever. So you have to find the correct atmosphere to make people actually explain what they really think about the product. And that is also making people feeling engaged with the product. If people feel engaged with your project, with the product you are going to make, they're going to be willing to give you much more feedback, much sincere feedback. So it's really about making people feel that that they're going to really become part of the project. And that's something that has to do also with something that was Ignacy saying before, Kickstarter, I think it's a really good platform because if people are willing to pay in advance or to give you money, it means that they are really interested in your product. So I think it's a really good way to find your early adopters. Your early adopters are going to be the people who are going to help you with the development of your project, who are going to give you the right feedback on your idea. So I think it's a good point, even if you don't use Kickstarter, if you find your early adopters and really take care of them, and if you even get them to give you money in advance for your project, you know that you're getting the right feedback, and that those, in the end, are going to be your customers. Because the people who are willing to pay before they even have it are your real customers. So it's also, in the end, it's a way of finding the right person with whom you need to communicate. Because to go from the idea to a final project, the key is the communication with the people who are going to buy your project. So I'd say that communication is really the key. It's going to help you define your idea, then find your real customers. So, as an example, I'm going to give you, I don't know if you know this company, KH7. It says, I suppose most of you do.
Yeah, I know.
And it's a Spanish company, and they started many, many years ago, and they actually did a part of the jewelry making process. And they realized they needed to produce a product for themselves for cleaning the jewelry. So then they found out that their clients did not have that product for cleaning the jewelry too. So they evolved, they communicated with their customers, and they went hand in hand with their customers, and now, like 80, I think, years later, they produce cleaning products. If they had still been producing the jewelry because they had not actually communicated with their customers and not actually received the feedback from their customers and looked into the insights of what my customer needs, they would probably not be working anymore. So I think it's a really good example about that. This is another example of a company, which I love. And it's Motobrom, and they are a team that races this motorbike racing team, and they also produce parts for bikes, for motorbikes, for competition. What did they do? They realized that when it was not racing season, they had the structure, they had the machinery, they had the labor, and they were bored. So they actually had a partner company which made lasers. So they started doing some research, and they found out that there was a niche in the laser hair removal market. So now, when there's not a racing season, they are producing laser removal, hair removal devices. So I think it's really a good example on how you have to focus on your core idea and develop it, but also always keep an eye on the outside, because you never know when you may have the opportunity to find the next great idea for your company. So it may seem really strange that they do these two different type of things, but I think it's really important. I think it's really important that you really, even if you have your idea in mind, if everyone stresses a lot about focus, you have to focus on your idea, but also always keep an eye out, or always keep on thinking about other things maybe your structure will let you do. Of course, this is once you have a structure. But once you've proved your idea or you've received your feedback and you really want to execute, what do you need? Money. I'd say. We were talking about investors before. There's a lot of ways of getting investment. We all know you can get public investment, private investment. This is not about investment. But I'd say, as advice, the investors market, at least here in Spain, years ago, it was easier to get investment. Now investors are getting wiser. They've lost a lot of money. And it's more difficult to get investment. So years ago, maybe ideas sold and investors would take it. But now you really need to have your customers. You really need to have a solid foundation for investors to believe in you and to really want to invest in your idea. So don't piss off investors going up to them with, I have this idea. Do you have customers? No, I have the idea. No, you don't have anything. So I'd say this is an image that a very well-known investor used in a talk about a year ago. to express how he was feeling about people coming up to him with ideas. So I want to give you another example, speaking about the execution of your ideas, how a bad execution can really make your customers fly away. I suppose you all know this car, DeLorean. This was a great idea. It was technically impossible to do. So in the end, when they were producing this car, they had to get the chassis from another company. They had to put patches. They had problems. The motor was not as powerful as it should be for the thing they actually ended up building. So they didn't sell because it was a really bad car. The price was high. The customers were loving it, but in the end, they lost all the customers. They lost all the sales because they were getting bad critics. The customers disappeared. The company closed. And really, it was a really bad execution of a really great idea. So I think it's a really good example because it was really unique at the time, this type of car, but they really destroyed their great idea by making their customers leave with a bad execution. Just as a fun fact, because there's not many units of this car, and thanks to the movie, now it's more expensive than a new Porsche 911. So but don't make a bad product and then try to sell it 30 years after. I would like to talk about two more things. I think it's important to think out of the box. Many times we think rationally about the market, about who are my customers. I have to find my customers with my idea, and we use a rational thinking with that. I don't think no one could have told the producers of Mexican hats that they were going to sell so many Mexican hats in Barcelona. So we all know the people in the Ramblas. Everyone has a Mexican hat. So I think it's really important. Sometimes we think, I've got this idea and who are my customers? Think out of the box. Sometimes there's other people who may be wanting to use that product or some other market niche where we could sell that product, or just try to do some crazy thinking. And then last, I'd like to, especially for B2C, I'd like to remark the point in my personal experience. We had a problem. We always think about the final customer. With the perfumes, we were facing the problem that we first had to sell our product to the perfume chains. And the buyers from the perfume chains did not like our product. We don't know why. Maybe the person in charge of buying that day was not feeling like, we don't know why. The thing is that we had the perfumes in stock for months. When we finally got the perfume chains to buy our product from us, our perfumes, and put them on the stores, the sellout is really good. So the final customer is loving our product. But we had it in stock for months, and we could not actually put it to the final customer because we had not sold it to the distribution channel, because they were not buying it from us. So when you are a B2C company, if you're making products for the final consumer, you really have to think that also you're going to have to face distribution or whomever is going to be selling your product if you're not selling it online or on your own stores. So that's also something to have into account. You don't only have one customer. There's a chain. So So there you have to really think about that. And just as a wrap up, I'd really like to stress on the fact that it's not about having the greatest idea, it's not having the most unique idea. You really have to do it better. Add value to people. You don't have to do the best idea, but you have to do the idea that offers the value to your customers, and that's what's going to make you succeed, not having a unique idea, because probably someone has had it before and someone has tried it before. So it's in the execution and in adding that value to your customers where you're going to find the success.